Hi everyone, it's Jesse and I'm back at it with another video for you. This one's a special one. I want to invite you, if you haven't already, to subscribe to my channel. It's very simple. Hit the subscribe button down in the lower right hand corner and then hit the little black bell indicator. What that'll do is it'll alert you to all the new videos that I put out. They'll come out to you. You'll be the first to know. Okay, with no further ado, I'd like to open with this. Your children will become who you are. So be who you want them to be. Your children will become who you are. So be who you want them to be. I want to start off with a story too. And while I was going through my social media today, I made a comment on one of the memes of the person on the other end that I follow. I follow him and another dad-like figure out there, and they're great. They're good. I'll list them in the description as I get going here. But what the meme was today was it was having everything to do with taking the time with your kids, but also being there, being present, and not worrying about the things that you do other than the quality of time that you spend with them. And one of the comments in there was, someone wrote, "I am loathing the day when my daughter will stop giving me hugs and kisses." And I'm paraphrasing it a bit, but it was along the lines of the one where she will ask you, your daughter will ask you, just one more hug and kiss, Dad, just one more hug and kiss. And he was saying, I'm loathing the day when that happens. And I thought for a moment and I went, yeah, but then I thought, no, here's what I wrote. I wrote to him and said, if you wish for this to carry on, if you wish for her to keep doing this, you do that for her. You tell her that you want just one more kiss and a hug. If that's your thing, you do that. You lead her. You tell her that is what you want her to do. What that does is it does two things. It lets her know how much you love her. Gosh, it lets you know how much you love her. And little girls, I don't know about you, little boys need lots of love. Little girls, they need a little bit extra. And doing that as a dad, I see that as nothing but a win. That is what you really want her to do, and you don't want it to end. And it's something just as positive as that. You lead her. You tell her. You show her as a man, as a father, that is normal. That is something that it will end. And I guarantee you, as a dad, that will never end as long as you keep doing that for her. She'll keep doing that for you because you're showing her by example what that looks like. Push that point. I'm going to push that point further. Two examples. The first one was last year. Last year, my family and I, my wife, two kids, we were out in a town in the mountains. We were out in Canmore. We were crossing the road. We were so hungry. We needed to eat supper. Because I was a little complacent, hungry, and tired, I didn't look both ways before leading all four of us across the road when there were cars. Cars were honking. They were unaware they were crossing. We scared them. But not only that, I scared my two girls and my wife. So much so that it put us all in fight or flight. Now in that moment, I had to own my stuff. Now, this is an example of what not to do, but this is an example of how you come through that. As soon as you own your stuff, what I did was this. I said to them, with my wife there, as soon as we got to the other side of the road, I said, look, I didn't do this very well. I led us across a busy street without looking. That's not how we do this. I apologize. This will not happen again. Daddy's gonna do it right. Daddy's gonna do it right next time. And with that, it was like a weight that lifted off them. It was something that lifted off me as well. And I was still a little bit upset about it, but at the same time, I didn't have to be as upset about it, looking back now. I didn't have to be as upset about it as I thought, right? Because I owned up to a mistake, a life lesson that I learned. And that, in my opinion, is leading by example. I'm showing my kids that a mistake is okay, and that it is more than okay to take responsibility for it. It is more than okay to take ownership for it. Another thing, and I talked about this on a show with one of my friends just recently in early February, and I told them, I said, look, families have all sorts of little intricacies. We have all these little wonderful things that make us who we are. And blended families, we're no different in that regard. We have lots of little things that families that didn't come together, aren't blended families, married families and blended families, they're unique and different in their own ways. What I'm talking about here is this. My wife and I had an argument at the table. And it was more than an argument. It was over games. And it was over a projection I had about how I was treated previously when I was younger, about having felt like I was being taken advantage of, and taking account for what I was doing. I was getting angrier and angrier by the moment because I was feeling like somebody was cheating on me in this game, and it was just my family, right? So the girls didn't do well with this. I didn't do well with it either, nor did my wife. We all four of us ended up in completely different directions. I felt horrible about it, but here's what happened. I didn't want this to be a traumatic experience on a games night for my kids, or my wife for that matter. And I went right up to my wife and I said, look, I did this. I own the fact that I got angry. I own that I got angry, made up the story that you guys were taking advantage of me and cheating to win the game, and it had nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with a well-guarded memory of somebody that was cheating on me continually when I was younger in card games and board games. And that came out. As soon as I owned that, my wife's attitude shifted. I shifted. We shifted. I said, we got to go do this now. We got to go to the kids. And I'm going to own this with you here, with you present. And what I said, because I didn't want the kids to have to endure this. I didn't want this to be their traumatic experience. I didn't want this to be their memory where there was no follow through, and any games night that we have with anyone, beware, because somebody might erupt and there's some sort of trauma attached to it, and that somebody might cheat on you or whatever it is. I didn't want them going away with my trauma, transferring that traumatic energy onto them. That wasn't theirs. It was never theirs. So this is what we did. My wife and I went downstairs, we gathered the kids, we put them in our laps, and I apologized. I took responsibility. I told them what it was and how I felt when I was a kid. And I told them it had nothing to do with my kids. And they wept a little, but their little mood shifted too. And with that, I feel that I was leading them through an experience in life. That everything that you encounter is not going to be happy. But within those experiences, you will get happiness. And sometimes when people are unhappy, it's okay. And I also believe that it's okay for them to see anger. But I also want them to take ownership of their own anger should it come through, take responsibility for it, and just be that person. So that's the template that I was hoping to forage for them. As soon as their mood shifted, as soon as I took ownership of it, all four of us had a better night. And you know what? After that, we had games night. We had games night when we were away on a family trip in Edmonton. We had a games night a little later on in that weekend as well. I was leading them, hoping that this would be a part of their template, that it's okay to expect that somebody will be upset when you're playing games, or anywhere in life for that matter, playing board games. And that it's okay to take ownership for something that you've done. I've written the template for them. I led them through the template that I feel will help them, will best benefit. There's a follow through. There's an execution. There's a taking responsibility. I did that. So now let's get back to how I started out this video. Your children will be who you want them to be. So you have to be who you want them to be. Your children will be who you are. So be who you want them to be. Do it. And I'm telling you, as a father, it's so important, because you are that pillar for them. You are that pillar for them. Don't argue with me. You are that pillar for them. I know that, because I am that pillar for my family. This is how I become a better father, is I learn. And I love that. But every time I do that, every time I walk through an experience in life, or I walk through something like that with my wife, I glean something even I don't understand in those moments, but it feels so good. It feels awesome. So again, your children will become who you are. So be who you want them to be. Until the next video, take care.